Welcome, my darling. We are going to learn how to crochet. It should be fun. It should be simple. I'm going to guide you step by step through the process. So we're going to be working on learning the basics and then learning the progression of how to make the basic crochet / amigurumi ball. And there's some different versions to help you understand the structure, which then once you understand that, you can use that knowledge to create more advanced amigurumi plushies, etc. All right, let's get started. All right, first let's talk about the materials we're going to need and we're going to be using for this first progression of learning. All right. We're going to be using a size D hook, which is about 3 millimeters or very, very close to that. We're going to be using some 24/7 cotton yarn. It's the Lion brand 24/7 cotton yarn. It's a medium weight, also known as worsted weight yarn. This particular brand is slightly thinner than a traditional medium weight yarn, but this is perfect for what we're going to be working on. Cotton is great. It's not gonna fray. It's not gonna be linty. So this is what we're gonna be using for our yarn. And then we're gonna need some scissors for the end, just to cut off our ends. We're gonna need some cotton balls to stuff the project at the end, and I like to also use a little small wooden dowel, or you could use a chopstick or anything really to help you just kind of shape the ball while you're stuffing it at the end there, okay? We're gonna want to have a yarn needle for the ends just to close off the ball, and I will show you how to do that. We're going to need a stitch marker. You can use whatever color you want. This will help us separate our rounds or know when the round is going to start and when the round is going to end. All right, your stitch marker. And those are the materials. All right, dear, let's talk about how to hold the yarn and your crochet hook. There are different ways. People use different techniques. I'm going to show you what works for me. Feel free to experiment. All right, let's start with the yarn. For the yarn, what I like to do is, since I'm a right-handed person, my right hand is my dominant hand, I'm going to hold the yarn with my left hand. So what I like to do is pop that yarn right between pinky and ring finger, loop it around, then go up towards pointer finger, go around pointer finger and through, just like that. Let's try that again. We've got the left hand. We're gonna pop the yarn between pinky and ring finger, go around, go up, around pointer finger, right through. Okay? Really simple as that. Let's talk about how to hold the hook. I heavily prefer the version holding the hook like this. Just gives me more control. It feels better to me. Some people like to hold it in this fashion, but that doesn't work for me. Feel free to use that if that works better for you. I just feel better using my hook in this position. Yeah. All right, my dear. We're going to learn how to make a magic circle because we're going to be working in the round. So that means we're going to be working kind of in circles rather than side to side, like if you were making a scarf or something like that. So when you're working in the round, a technique to start your circles off or your ball is making a magic circle. So let's learn how to do that. To make a magic circle, if you're right-handed like me, you're going to want to take your left hand, just put it out like this, and then you're going to take your yarn and go between your middle finger and your ring finger. Loop it all the way around pointer finger. And do that again. Right between middle and ring finger. Loop around pointer finger. Keep it a little higher up here. Make an X. Thumb. Hold the X with your thumb. Let's try that again. Here we go. Left hand. Yarn coming through between middle and ring finger. Loop around pointer finger. Again, between middle and ring finger. Loop around pointer finger. Make your X. Hold it with your thumb. Then you have this on the other side, which is where we want to go next. All right, now that you have your X and your 2 strings here on the backs of your fingers, let's go ahead and take your hook. Once again, we're using a D hook, about 3 millimeters. Okay. You're gonna take your hook. You're gonna go underneath this first strand of yarn, and you're gonna hook that second one and pull it underneath the first one. Okay? Twist your hook around. Grab this strand of yarn with your hook and then pull it through that loop. Just like that. Okay? Then what you have is your circle, your magic circle, and the string that's going to be feeding in as you make those single crochets. So this is your circle, okay? Let's try that magic ring one more time, nice and up close. All right, we've got left hand. We're going to put the yarn right through between the middle and the ring finger, loop around pointer, and again back through middle and ring finger, back around pointer, make an X. Hold it with your thumb. Twist your hand around. Take your hook, go under your first strand, grab that second strand, make a loop. You see that? All right, now you're gonna wanna find this strand. Here's your first, here's your second, right? You're gonna go back, grab that again, and we're gonna bring that right through that loop. And that is the base of your magic ring. All right, this is gonna be the yarn that feeds you, your single crochets that are gonna go into that magic circle. Ultimately, this tail is going to pull that magic ring closed. All right, let's learn how to put those single crochets into your magic circle. Here we go. Okay, my dear, we've got our magic circle. We're holding the yarn as we learned. I've got a couple extra loops around my middle finger to help with the tension as I'm putting my single crochets into this magic circle. So here we go. Let's learn how to do a single crochet in the magic circle. We're going to take the hook part here and we're going to put that into the circle like that. It's going to come out the other side. Now what I'm going to be doing is called a yarn under technique. There are a couple different techniques which we'll go over later, but for now let's do yarn under. It just means you're going to hook this yarn under like that, right? All right, we're going to yarn under and we're going to bring it through that magic circle, just like that, until we have these 2 loops here. all right, on our hook. Then we're going to yarn under again, which means grabbing the yarn here with the hook, and we're going to pull it through both those loops, just like that. All right, let's try that again. We're going to go through the magic circle. We're going to yarn under, bringing that yarn through the circle. We're going to yarn under again and pull through those 2 loops. We're going to make 4 more of these for a total of 6 single crochets in that magic circle to start our ball. So we're going to go through the circle, yarn under, bring back through the circle, yarn under, and pull through the 2 loops. That's 3. Yarn under, bring through. That's 4. Through the circle, yarn under, back through the circle, yarn under, through the 2 loops. 1 more. In the circle, yarn under, through the circle, yarn under, through the 2 loops. Now, you can see the stitches here, and this is how we're going to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're kind of a V-shaped stitch here, you can see. And this is going to be important to be able to identify those, both from the side and from the top. All right? Now, here is an exciting bit for your magic circle. You take the tail and you just pull it nice and tight there. And then your stitches kind of come together in a circle there. All right? And there you go. That's really how we start a lot of our amigurumi projects. 6 stitches, sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little less, but generally about that in the magic circle. All right, let's learn how to do more rounds. So you've got your 6 single crochets in your magic circle. You've pulled it close. How do we go on to the next round? Well, right here, if you see, is a lovely little stitch with 2 loops. Okay, this is our last stitch on the hook, last stitch and then a loop on the hook, and we're going to place our hook into this V-shaped stitch right here. This is going to be our first stitch of the second round. Okay, you see that? We're going to continue with our yarn under technique. So we're going to put the yarn under our hook, grab it with that hook end, bring it through that V-shaped stitch right there. And this will probably look familiar because we have 2 loops here on the crochet hook. And guess what we're going to do? We're going to yarn under again and pull it through those 2 loops. Now here's an important bit of business. Let's not forget to put a stitch marker in. This is super important, not only for beginners. I use stitch markers all the time. It really, really helps. So, take a stitch marker and we're going to put it in here, right behind those 2 yarn pieces there in that V-shaped stitch. This is the first stitch of our second round. And so we're going to put that stitch marker on there. So we'll know when we get to this stitch, after we go around, that that's the last one. And this next stitch will start our next round. Okay? Excellent. Now what do we do for round 2? let's get started. Okay, so we're going to start round 2. We are working in what's called continuous rounds. So we're just working in kind of a spiral for this initial ball. So we've got our stitch marker in stitch 1 of this round. And what we're going to want to do all the way around round 2 is increase in every stitch. Now, what does an increase mean? So we've been doing single crochets, right? And we have 1 single crochet in that first stitch. We're going to put 2 single crochets in every stitch all the way around for round 2. Okay, so we're going to work another single crochet in this same base stitch. Just like this first stitch was, we're going to put another one into that same base stitch. Okay, now our stitches, remember, they look kind of like these V's with 2 strands, right? So here we go. This first stitch is going to get 2 single crochets. Putting our hook through, yarning under, bringing it through. You've got your 2 loops, yarn under, and you're bringing it through those 2 loops. Now you have an increase, which also is kind of like a V shape there a little bit. You'll see as we continue, right? We've got 2 single crochets in that 1 stitch. Now where's the next stitch? Right there. Can you see it? Looks like a V up on top here. We're going to go under those 2 strands. Going through, yarning under, pulling that yarn through, yarning under, and again pulling through. Now you'll notice with my left pointer finger here, I'm keeping the tension to help me make these stitches. All right, figure out what works for you. I just kind of like to, let a little loose here. If I have a couple extra and I need a little more space, I let it loose. Or I kind of grab it if I need a little more tension. Okay, but the tension in crochet is important. All right, so we're going to do another single crochet right in that same stitch, our second stitch of the second round. We're going to make our second single crochet to complete that second increase. Okay, so we have 1 increase and 2 increases. And now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches in total on the second round. We're going to go into this third stitch of the second round. We're going to do again an increase, which is 2 single crochets, yeah? In that third stitch, yarn under, pull through. Yarn under, pull through. That's 1. Let's do 2. Same base stitch, that third stitch. Let's go to the 4th stitch. 2 single crochets in here. Push it through, yarn under, pull it through, yarn under, pull it through. That's the first one. Second one in the 4th stitch. Inside, yarn under, pull through, yarn under, pull through. There we go. Okay, that's the 4th stitch. We have 2 more to go, 2 more increases. Let's push the hook through that 5th stitch, yarn under, pull through, yarn under, pull through. 1 more single crochet in that stitch. Okay, and our last stitch, the 6th stitch of this round, we're going to do an increase, which is 2 single crochets in the same base stitch. All right, and if this is still a little bit open in the middle, you can go ahead and tug on that tail a little bit to close it. Give it a little bit more attention there so your magic circle is working and it's all nice and closed up. Isn't that pretty yarn? It's kind of a silvery, grayish blue. That's looking really pretty and shiny. Mercerized cotton. All right, let's go on to round 3. Round 3. Now that you understand what single crochets are and increases and stitch markers, we can move a little quicker. Isn't that exciting? Okay, so we want to take the stitch marker out. That was marking our 2nd round. And then we're going to make our first stitch of the 3rd round here. For the 3rd round, we're going to put a single crochet only in that first stitch. So we're going to make that same progression of the single crochet in that first stitch. That's it in that stitch, okay? And then don't forget, you'll thank me, put your stitch marker in that first stitch, yeah? And let's just remember how to do that. Remember our V-shaped stitches? We're going to put it under those 2 yarn bits, just like that. And snap it. That's going to help us know when to stop when that round is done, okay? That's our first stitch of the 3rd round. Now, for the 3rd round, we are going to do a single crochet in the first and then an increase in the 2nd stitch, right? So remember, increase is 2 single crochets in the same base stitch. Okay, what we're doing is increasing the size of the work so it's going to become a ball eventually, right? So we're going to be working with a lot of increases. For the 3rd round, you're going to do 6 sets of 1 single crochet and 1 increase. So this is going to repeat. This pattern is going to repeat 6 times. We're working in multiples of 6, actually all through the ball. All right, so we did a single crochet, we did an increase. Let's go again. In the next stitch, a single crochet. And then in the next stitch, an increase. An increase is 2 single crochets in that same stitch. All right, that's our 2nd unit of single crochet, increase, single crochet, increase. Let's do that 4 more times. Single crochet in the next stitch. Then an increase in the next stitch. Here we go. 2 single crochets in the same base stitch. 1 and 2. All right, let's repeat that unit. Single crochet in the next stitch. And an increase in the next stitch. 1 and 2. Okay, let's do that unit one more time. Single crochet, increase. Single crochet and increase. And one more unit, single crochet, increase. Single in here. increasing this final stitch before the stitch marker tells us the round is over. And there we go. You've worked 3 rounds of your first crochet amigurumi ball. Congratulations! Next time, we'll work the next rounds. See you then.